Hello everyone, welcome to a roblox video. Basically, I'm going to show you why delay is bad and what you can do as an alternative. So, by default, uh, delay pretty much just, after a certain amount of time, it just calls a function that would then be wrapped in a coroutine. Now, on the surface, there's not really anything wrong with that, but first off, the, concept of just, let's just test something here. The concept of having a function call that you time deferred to a different thread is just kind of wasteful. And if you really needed that, you would just wrap it in the first place. But so you can see it's two different threads. So that's kind of arbitrary. But yeah, probably the main reason that I don't like delay is because of the fact that it runs, similarly to wait, it's locked at 30 hertz. Now, compared to your own alternative, you could make this run at whatever hertz you want, but with delay, it's locked at 30 hertz. So if we were to set up a sort of recursion here, we'll just call this recursion, and then and we'll just print what happens. Oh, actually, let's just do more accurately. Basically, I'm just setting up a time comparison here. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and call this. Alright, and you'll see what I mean. So, yeah, it's 30 hertz, basically. That's probably the main problem with it. Oh yeah, and not only that, but it's just ridiculous. I mean, look at this. When the game first started, a call that should take 0 seconds, or at minimum a 30 hertz frame refresh, instead took 2.7 seconds. That is ridiculous. And I mean, I would expect better from Roblox backend, because I would expect something like, scheduling a function would not run every frame. It would run, like, it wouldn't run on a frame basis. I'd expect it to run just like whenever, not frame by frame. So I'm going to show you an alternative that you can do for that. So you'll see these results here. We'll just create a module for this. Also, if you have any questions about this in the comments. So we'll have a call list. Basically, we'll insert objects into this table, and then they will be called after a certain amount of time, and this will be our alternative to delay. So you can see, because this is 0.03, that's taking 30 hertz, and because I'm at 60 FPS, and it's still taking that long, so you can just tell. And also there's a bit of jitter here, where you can see that even though my frame rate did not dip, it just took a bit longer to call. And that's one thing I really hate about, well, schedulers in general. They're just really annoying for that reason. But we're going to get back to the code. So we're going to have a sort of abstracted function here. That's just going to provide us with a certain degree of abstraction so that we don't have to do all this ourselves, because it would just look really annoying. And I don't know, I think the readability benefit it provides is just worth it. I mean, not if you're going to be calling it like thousands of times every frame. Not on that basis, but apart from that, we're good. So let's just say expected timing and then to call. That will be our function call, and we'll get the length +1, and we'll set that to expected time. No, clock plus expected time. That way, the time that we're supposed to call it on will be the current time in microsecond precision plus what we expect. And also we can account for a bit of jitter by just doing a simple subtraction here, but that could go wrong. So, I mean, I know delay does that internally. They also have jitter, but it's perfectly fine, really. Yeah. And another benefit of this is that wrapping in coroutines is not forced. So, assume we just schedule a module. We should require our module, and then we, call it. And what we could do is we could schedule a function to run in 2 seconds, right? It's the same syntax as delay, but with a minor difference. Because coroutines are not forced, we can do this on our own. And because the way we will call our function in here will be with, simple call syntax, then that means that this coroutine will completely work fine. So if you do actually need coroutines, you can just do that. And there'd be practically no loss in readability, because it'd be perfectly outlined, the behavior that you want, if that makes sense. So I may as well just get the base set up while we're doing this. Yeah. Let's start from slow at typing. There. Yeah. And that should give us an accurate base to work with. And let's get started with the actual thing. So we are going to run this every frame. However, it is possible. I'll just show you what I mean before I end up doing that. So essentially every frame, or every time you want it to update, we're going to iterate through our call list, and it'll be I pairs because it'll be ordered, and yeah. So we're just going to do a simple comparison here. So if os.clock is over or equal to, and for our call date, then that's our queue, and we will call it. And there's more advantages actually. And we'll also go ahead and delete this from the table using table.remove. The reason why we're using table.remove is because, well, let's assume, I'll just show you what I mean. So we'll have a pseudo table here that will, I don't know, let's just assume key 1 is high, key 2 is 3, key 3 equals, I don't know, 7. Now, let's print the length initially. Let's make sure it's also proper syntax, yep. And I'll show you why we're not doing generic, entry equals nil or whatever, or key equals nil. So let's just take key 2, for example, and let's just immediately do that. And see the length goes down to 1. Now, if we were to print table.remove, 2, see how it changes. And that's kind of what you want here. So basically, the point is that doing generic key equals nil will shift it out of order, but table.remove is mindful of order and keeps it within the restrictions of iPair's iteration. So that's the point. I mean, feel free to correct me on that if I'm wrong about that, but to my knowledge, that's what it does. And yeah, that should work. I'll also show you what I mean earlier. So for now, we'll just comment this out. You don't have to only update it every frame. What you can do is you can create a coroutine here and literally take advantage of the stack. So we just do the exact same thing, with the exception that we have an iteration value. And let's say we want, I don't know, 120 iterations before we're forced to wait. So alright. So if iteration, is modulus of 120. If you don't know what modulo is, I'm just looking up calculator. Essentially, modulo is remainder, or what I like to call it is factors. So 100, where's modulo? Right here. 120. What the heck? I don't know how to use a calculator, man. Alright, we'll just do this. 100, 120. Obviously, that has a different remainder, but if we were to do 120, that'd be 0. And if we were to do something that doesn't factor in, give us our remainder, and then we do something that does factor in, and we get 0. So that's essentially the point of using this approach. So we'll reset the iteration so that we don't have any overflows, and end. And then we'll yield once. Or, wait, do we need to pass self that? No, we don't. There we go. So that should work as well, but I honestly don't recommend doing this because first off, it'd be extraneous and, well, there's negligible benefit, so I'd stick to doing it every frame, but I'm just letting you know that is an option. And we're going to go ahead and test that. So this should run at any hertz that we want. So as you can see, that did take a little bit, but the jitter, so if you remember, when we first did delay with this, the offset of a normal time was 2.7 seconds, but here it was 0.3 seconds. So it is definitely beneficial to update it at whatever pace you want, as opposed to a locked 30 hertz. So it's reasonably accurate. It could honestly be more accurate, and you can see our jitter is starting to take place here. And that's quite alright. That's intended. Now if we unlock our FPS here, let's go and do that. What are we at now? 200. You can see that pretty much, because it's updating faster, the accuracy is getting stupidly good now. I'll just put that down. Now if we put that down to 30, you can see it does start to take a little bit longer, but it really doesn't matter. Now because the average player does run at 30 FPS, this is completely fine. Now what about if we're lagging here? What about if we're lagging? Let's go ahead and make a lag machine here. So you can just make a lag machine by having a particle emitter that's locked to the part, no speed, reasonable lifetime, and then a max size. That's a good lag machine. Alright, let's go ahead and lag ourselves. Oh, that's apparently not enough. Oh, it's because of my graphic settings. Okay. Yeah. Alright. That should be a good lag machine. Let's go ahead and uncap our FPS again to simulate actual variation. Alright. There we go. So, we're a Nova player. We go straight down to very low FPS. As you can see down here, our execution time is still completely normal. Ooh, that's starting to not be normal though. But I mean, that's kind of what you'd expect at this type of FPS. Let's go down even further. Let's go all the way down. And you can see it's starting to get reasonably inaccurate. Now, I'm going to grab, if I can get out of here, I'm going to grab this lag machine, and we're going to test this with delay as well, just for comparison. So you can see the average inaccuracy here. It's pretty bad, but overall, it's not that bad. So, next, we're going to go ahead and comment this out and use delay. Let me know if you have any questions, but, so, delay is also running at a reasonable accuracy, despite the fact that it does actually have a jitter just like ours. But you can see, because of that 30 hertz, it's really not having desirable, delays here in terms of offset. Now if we go ahead and lag ourselves, you can see it's actually comparable, but it does actually get worse than ours to a reasonable degree. But in terms of like lag and stability, not only does offset matter in terms of execution time, but what's even more important is where coroutine throttling comes into play. Because obviously coroutines are true multi-threading. Every time you're supposed to do something, it will switch between coroutines and do them all in a synchronous manner, as far as I can remember. So because of that, if you have enough coroutines, which you would if you had a lot of delays, that's where stability flaws come into play. Now you can have that same vulnerability with this if you have coroutine.wrap. This does not prevent that, but it gives you the option to not allow that to happen. Whereas with delay, you'd be creating a new coroutine every time. You don't have a choice. And speaking of choice, that's where probably the best benefit of this, honestly, is customizability. Now, not only does this actually is superior to delay, but it's also more optimized. I can't imagine Roblox having something better than this, unless their backend is actually pretty good. But I mean, what do I know? But customizability is really important. So we can literally just have argument support. Now, why is this important? It's because or should we just do empty table? I don't know. You can do whatever you want with this, but like you can check it all you want. Yeah, with delay, let's assume you wanted to do something pretty readable, like for example, in 2 seconds, let's just make pseudocode here. This would be proper arguments that we would pass to destroy a part. But with delay, you cannot pass arguments. Watch. Let's just set up a pseudo function. Or actually, we don't need to do that. But you get what I mean. But with our scheduler module, if you add support for arguments, you can literally do the same thing. And you'd be able to destroy it. So yeah, customizability, important. You know what I mean? So yeah, if you have any questions about that, let me know. Or if there's anything wrong, hope this helped. And yeah, I'll see you later. Bye.